Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from keyboardimprov.com, and welcome to our journey through the real book number 171, which is Duke Ellington's classic standard, I'm Beginning to See the Light. Mostly done vocal, but with vocalists, sometimes instrumental too. And it's a swing era tune from the early 1944, it says here. Sometimes these are a couple of years off whenever it was copyrighted, but basically early to mid 40s. Swing era, sort of overlapping with the beginning of bebop there, but basically swing era, big band, Duke Ellington. And this jazz piano lesson will answer the question, to G or not to G? That is the question. Sorry, Shakespeare, to be or not to be. But it's a G chord here, and to stay on a G chord or not to stay on a G chord, that's what we're going to look at, because it's really interesting. If you look at these chord changes in the real book, you see two chords per measure for the whole A section. See? It's very dense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And it moves around a lot. It sounds good. But it's interesting because I didn't learn the tune like this from the real book. I learned it from a Duke Ellington record. A long time ago, I was asked to arrange it for some vocal groups, some vocalists. And I listened, and the Ellington version, and he's the composer, started with just the G6 chord for 3 measures. Then it moves in bar 4. So what's the deal? And if you look, I did a little research before I sat down to do this, because I just called up different versions of the lead sheet and sheet music on Google to see what was out there. And there's so many different ones. This starts with the 1 chord, then it goes to the 4 minor chord. There's other ones that start with a 2-5, A minor. And then Duke Ellington's, which is in his sheet music too, just starts out with... It just grooves on the 1 chord. What's going on here? And immediately what I thought about was this gig I did a long time ago when I was first starting to play professionally in New York. And I remember I was playing a duet with a bass player, a duo gig. It was just background music, like for a wedding reception, maybe the cocktail hour or something. And we're playing standards. And I called the tune Where or When by Rodgers and Hart. So it's 1. Right? So it's the same kind of thing. It's 3 measures of the 1 chord. 1, 2, 3. Oh, actually, it's 4. 4, and then it moves. That moves in bar 5. This one moves in bar 4. But it starts with this harmony, right, of just the 1 chord for a few measures. And it really establishes, to me, a beautiful feeling of just sort of floating on a cloud, right? And in the Rodgers and Hart, it goes with the lyric more than this does. It seems that we have stood like this before, and talked before, and then we looked at each other. So it seems that we have stood and talked before. We're standing there. We're just standing, not doing anything. So the chord doesn't move. It just stays on this beautiful, lush chord until we looked. It becomes a little more active there. And that was intentional on the part of the composer. So I called the tune, and I started playing it like that. And the bass player said, he started playing other bass notes. And then I said, oh, well, what are you doing? He goes, oh, it's boring just to stay on the 1 chord for 4 measures. So he did something like 4, 3. He put in a 1, 4, 3, 6 in those first 4 measures. And it's fine. It sounds good, right? We should use different changes if we like. And that's pretty standard on some like wedding band, at least from when I was starting out, society gigs kind of thing. But I thought, it's a little sad if the person's only putting in those chords because they're not interested in staying on 1 chord. Like if they can't find the beauty in 1 chord, right? If you want to change the chords, fine. If you want to add substitute chords, I do that sometimes too, right? But basically, I feel on that tune and on this, it can go both ways, and we should be informed about what we're doing so that we know the different options. So when Duke Ellington had that one chord for 3 measures, it just grooves, right? And then it changes. So he wanted to establish that, like this sense of the tonic for a little while, and then he went somewhere surprising, sort of the flat 6 chord, the tonality of E flat 7 there. And then it goes right back to the 1 chord, goes down chromatically. Another thing he's doing, because Duke Ellington knew what he was doing as a composer, he's starting out with a slow harmonic rhythm and then gradually getting more chromatic. So it doesn't move, it stays. And then it goes to a 1 measure harmonic region. It's a 2/5 here in A flat, but it's so 4 beats in the new key, kind of like an E flat 7th chord. And then he goes very chromatic, 2 beats each. So he has 3 measures on a harmony, 1 measure in a harmonic region, the B flat minor 7 to E flat, and then he goes to a different key, sort of each 2 beats. He's speeding up the harmonic rhythm as he goes along, which a lot of tunes do. All of Me does near the end, All Things You Are does near the end. He's doing it in 8 measures here, and it's brilliant. And it's sort of like a movie. You know, you go see a movie and there's a long shot at first, and then if it's an action movie or a thriller or something, the edits get faster as you go towards the end of the movie, right? Or in the exciting scenes. That's what he's doing here. He's setting us up. He's saying, okay, we're just grooving. Yeah, I know where the key is. And then, oh, what's that? Oh, something's going on. And then, oh, we're going to go for a little ride here. Yeah, right? And if we just start with this. It throws all that out the window. And again, it's fine if you like playing these chords, and there's some beautiful versions that use them, but just know what you're doing. So what I like to do is I'll sort of go back and forth, you know, like during the tune I'll use his original changes for the first 2 A sections, and then after the bridge, okay, just so we've already heard it twice, I'll go to these chords after the bridge, or during the solo, you know, maybe I'll use his for 1 chorus and the others for another chorus, or sort of mix and match them. If you're playing with a band with a bass player, you sort of have to predetermine, or at least listen to what the bass player is doing, and then go with whatever they're doing, or vice versa. They can follow you. But just know what's going on, because his original was really good, just on that 1 chord. You can also get a little modal there. Really beautiful if you just stay on that 1 chord. Ellington used those kind of voicings too, very rich voicings. So there you go. I think what I'm going to do is start with a pedal tone on the 5, D, and in the key of G, and then do some like modal type stuff, you know, using like an A minor 7 over D, or D sus, however you want to look at it. And then let's see where it brings us. The bridge starts out on the dominant 7th on a 3 chord, B7, like I Got Rhythm does, but then it goes down chromatically. So his bridge goes down chromatically, which parallels the concept of the second half of the A section. So it's unified here, you know? Really, really nice, well thought out tune. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. so a couple of different things sort of happen spontaneously because I don't always play this solo. Like I said, I've played with a lot of vocalists, and I'll call it if I'm doing a trio gig or something like that, like, you know, sort of not necessarily a concert, but if it's sort of society music or background music for something. It's a nice bouncy tune, and people know it. You know, people do know the tune. What I ended up doing is during some of the solos, for the first 3 measures, I went back to that D in the bass from the intro, but then I did a G7 over it. Then I went to the changes. So that's kind of an Ellington thing to do, disguising the form. He did it on African Flower from Money Jungle, if you listen to that. So fun tune to play. I hope that whole discussion about the changes at the beginning sort of gave you leeway to use either one. You could just use the G for 3 measures, or you could use these. But now it's an informed decision, and you know the pros and cons of both. One adds a lot of harmonic color and density, and the other one gives a nice sort of floating on a cloud or swing era groove kind of feeling, depending on how you play it. So great. That's what we're doing here. We're trying to look at the tunes in a 360 way, a holistic way, so we get a sense where they are historically, culturally, and musically, and in terms of our own personal interpretation. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. We're building a great community, so leave a comment or support each other through the comments, or comment on somebody else's comment. Whatever you can do, keep it positive, please. That's generally how people have been doing it. And thank you. If you're interested in Skype lessons or my video course, I have about 5 jazz sections in there, from intro to jazz, intermediate jazz, advanced jazz with some inner voice movement. I have an Art of Keith Jarrett series in there, lots of different stuff. Blues scale etudes, you learn the blues scale, different styles in every key. You can work your way through at your own pace and still get some personal feedback from me. So thank you. Let me know how I can help you, and have a great practice session or whatever you're going to do next, and I'll see you next time with a Steve Swallow tune. I'm your pal. Take care.